So I missed last week's video, and obviously I apologize for that. But then on top of that, this video is also a day late because yesterday the best Star Wars set of 2026 got revealed, and I just had to make a video on it. But regardless, welcome to LEGO Star Wars Hot Takes episode 43, I believe. As always, if you have any hot takes or controversial opinions about LEGO Star Wars, make sure to go ahead and drop them down in the comments below. But jumping right into it, this first one comes from Mr. Manic. They say, hot take, if not for the horrendous price of the Night Troopers battle pack, I think it would be regarded pretty highly due to the all-around really cool figures in it. And I mean, there's probably some truth to this. If this set was the price it should be, which is no more than about $17, I think it still would be on some people's radar just because the minifigures are pretty cool. However, at the same time, it does include the Family Guy Stormtroopers, which nobody is really a big fan of. And then on top of that, the build is also horrendous, which is super distracting from the figures themselves because it's just so laughable. So again, there's probably some truth to this comment, but I don't think if it was cheaper, it would make that big of a difference towards how people feel about this set because of the reasons that I just mentioned. And then also on top of that, it doesn't really help that it's from Ahsoka either. Some random geezer says, hot take, the fact that Rebrickable charges for instructions is stupid. I do not want to be paying an extra 20 bucks after paying for an already overpriced sets like for alt builds, although it is understandable for big mocks. And I completely disagree with this actually. But first off, for those of you that don't know what Rebrickable is, it's basically just a giant marketplace where people can sell instructions for their mocks. But back to this guy's comment about alt builds specifically, I looked through various different alt builds on here and none of them are very expensive at all. I mean, this one right here is turning the 2024 Star Destroyer into one of the Sith Star Destroyers from the Old Republic, and the instructions are only $8. Like, I think that's a good deal. Here's another one turning the Star Destroyer into an Imperial Venator, $10 instructions. I don't think that's bad at all. And then various other ones that are all under $10. I mean, I think these are fine. And then even some for large mocks aren't even that expensive. Like, here's instructions for a Star Wars Rebels AT-AT for $15. I think that's a great deal. And here's the Devastator for only $12. So yeah, I disagree with this. I don't really think the instructions are very overpriced on this website, even for specifically alt builds like you mentioned, because all the ones I looked at were $10 or less. And on top of that, I think that mock builders in general are kind of one of the most underappreciated groups in the LEGO community, and this website literally gives people an opportunity to monetize their talent by selling their own instructions, and I think that's amazing. Atomic Toucan says, hot take, all buildable character sets should be in the 4+ style like Grogu's homestead going forward. And this has to be a troll, but I guess I'll take it seriously. No, I disagree with this. They shouldn't. Grogu's homestead is one of the worst sets that has come out in the past decade in my opinion. And I mean, buildable characters are hit or miss. Most of the time they're a miss, but making them in this style would just be a further unnecessary downgrade. So yeah, like there's no point in doing this. It's ridiculous. The real John Marston says, hot take, pre-2020 sets are trash. People are just blinded by nostalgia. And like, come on, bro. This is just not true. I mean, if you would have said instead of pre-2020, like pre-2014, I think this would be kind of a valid argument. However, I don't think favoring sets that were released as soon as pre-2020 is nostalgia at all. I mean, I've said this countless times, but I think that the peak of LEGO Star Wars in terms of quality was from about 2012 or 2013 to 2020, and I don't think that's based on nostalgia bias. It's literally based on pricing, build quality, and minifigure quality, and this comment is just kind of ridiculous. I mean, there are sets that have released since 2020 that are better than sets that released in the 2010s, obviously. However, if you want to look at the two eras in their entirety, that being the 2020s versus the 2010s, I'm still going to think the 2010s are better because of, again, pricing, build quality, and minifigure quality. And I, of course, think the sets from the 2010s are better than the sets from the 2000s as well. Blake Dillon says, hot take, while the movie was a flop, the solo LEGO wave was peak LEGO quality for build, selection, and minifigs. It doesn't get the respect it deserves. And yeah, I mean, I can agree with this. It kind of falls into the same category as the sequel sets in my head. The solo sets came out in 2018, and like I just talked about, I think that was kind of around the prime of quality with LEGO Star Wars, and these sets, while they might not be from desirable source material, are really high quality. Of course, you have 75211 Imperial TIE Fighter, which is widely regarded to be the best TIE Fighter LEGO has made, and it's actually probably the only solo set that actually still gets recognition to this day. So I guess excluding that one, because it's kind of an outlier, there are still some other really underrated sets from this movie, like of course the Kessel Run Millennium Falcon, the Imperial Patrol Battle Pack. I love the Patrol Troopers in that set, and then even a set like the AT Hauler. While the set was overpriced at the time, I just think the build looks really cool. So yeah, like I said, I can get behind this comment. Isaac Brick says, hot take, the 2006 Jabba Sail Barge is a more accurate build than the 2013 one. The 2013 one is only loved because it has rare minifigures. And thank you so much for saying this. I 100% agree. The 2013 Sail Barge is literally one of the most overrated playsets ever made. I mean, it looks really good, don't get me wrong. It has a great aesthetic appeal. I think it's a great display display piece, it looks good on a shelf. However, when you compare it to the 2006 one in terms of just a playset, I think the 2006 one is a lot better. While the build definitely isn't as modern and as detailed, it's a lot bigger, has way more play functionalities and a bigger interior, and then on top of that, it also includes the Sarlacc pit and a desert skiff, all for a price of only $75 back in 2006, which is only about $120 in today's money. This set was insanely cheap for its time period, and to put that into perspective, the 2013 one is a lot smaller and it retailed for $120 back in 2013, which adjusted for inflation is about $170 in today's money. And does this look like a $170 set? No, not at all. So yeah, when comparing these two sets, I think the 2013 one looks better aesthetically. However, as an overall play set, the 2006 one is way better. Nick Geo says, hot take, the Gingerbread AT-AT is better than any of the actual play sets from 2025 despite it being a gimmick. And I 100% agree with this. If you watched my 2025 ranking video that I released a few months ago, I actually put this set at the number 3 spot, just behind two 18 plus sets, that being the AT-AT driver helmet at number 2 and then the UCS Jango Fett Slave 1 at number 1. So technically I did rank this as the best playset from 2025. And honestly, I think a lot of people agree with that. This set was extremely popular when it first came out, as most of you guys remember, because scalpers were absolutely going to town on it and everyone wanted to get their hands on a copy. And I don't know if everyone else would agree that it's the best playset of 2025. However, I personally agree with you on this. MPH Brick says, hot take, throw out your boxes and manuals. And this definitely just comes down to personal preference. If you buy a lot of sets and you're keeping the box for every single one, I think that's excessive. However, some sets do have really cool box art and I can't blame people for wanting to keep them. I mean, I myself keep cool box arts. I mean, every time I get a sealed retired set, I always keep the box. Like I just got the TIE Crawler, I'm keeping that box. I got a sealed 2007 MTT that I built, I'm keeping that box as well. And I also kept my box for the 2010 ARC 170 just because I like how they look. And there's even some sets that released in 2025 that I'm keeping the boxes for, like the Gingerbread AT-AT. I like the snowy mountains in the background. I just think it's a nice looking box art. And then the UCS Jango Fett Slave 1, I think that one also looks really cool, so I'm keeping it. But aside from the ones that actually look cool, if you are keeping the box for every single set you buy, I do think that's a bit ridiculous. But if you're keeping ones that actually look cool, I mean, hey, that's completely valid. However, when it comes to instruction manuals, there's really no point to keep them, because the instructions for every LEGO Star Wars set ever made are literally on lego.com for free, and unless they're instructions for an old retired vintage set and you want to keep them just as a collector's item, there's really no point in keeping your instructions. So back to your comment, I agree with you on the instruction manual part, and then I kind of like half agree with you on the boxes part. Anyways though guys, that's gonna do it for this week's episode. As always, if you have any hot takes or controversial opinions about LEGO Star Wars that you want me to discuss next week, make sure to go ahead and drop them down in the comments below. If you're new, please consider subscribing, and if you want to check out more of my videos, you can see them on the screen right now.